Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So there's great news, both for the Democratic candidates for the U.S. Senate, one in Georgia. This is a huge development. This makes history. We have the first African American elected to the U.S. Senate out of Georgia. So now we have three African Americans in the U.S. Senate. This is a major development. For the longest time, Georgia was Republican dominated. During this election cycle, Georgia voted for a Democratic candidate for president, and now they have just voted for two Democrats. And this is huge. This is largely and very importantly significant, because this means that now the Democrats have an edge in the Senate, and it means that the Democrats will be able to push forward their legislative agenda now. This tipped the balance in the Democrats' favor. And so I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from this particular article. This article says that Democratic candidate Reverend Warnock won a U.S. Senate seat in Georgia. And it goes on to talk about the significance of this. It says his win is a historic one. He's the first black senator to be elected in Georgia, which fought on the side of the Confederacy during the Civil War. It says that Warnock is the 11th black candidate ever elected to the Senate. He will be just one of three black senators in the current Congress, along with Cory Booker and Tim Scott. And then it also says this. It says Warnock said this. Warnock said that Georgia is the home state of Martin Luther King Jr. It has been the tip of the spear for change in America. And I think that through this movement that we're building, it once again will be a central focus for that change. So I'm going to go on to the other article real quick and just, just read a couple of excerpts from that, and then I'll be back with commentary. So this article also points out that Jon Ossoff also won. He's the other Democratic candidate in Georgia for the U.S. Senate. He's white. He actually won as well, beating out Republican David Perdue. It talks about how he was a former investigative journalist who ran for Congress in Georgia's 6th congressional district in 2017, narrowly losing to a Republican. So those are some basic excerpts from those articles. But what I want to do is just talk about a couple of things, and just talk about the significance of this. The first thing that has to be mentioned is the role of Stacey Abrams. From what I understand, she was crucial in turning out voters. She works with an organization dedicated to civic engagement and, getting out voters. And she's played a pivotal role in Georgia. She played a key role in the presidential election, and she played a key role in these Senate elections. So her significance has to be recognized and celebrated. As you all know, she ran for governor not too long ago in Georgia, and she laid the groundwork for all of these victories that are happening in Georgia. She is fundamental in turning Georgia into a blue state, so she deserves a lot of respect. And then another thing is this, as was alluded to in this particular article that I cited, all of this is a continuation of the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. As was mentioned, he was based in Georgia. That was his hometown. one of the fundamental things that that brother fought for was voting rights. The brother gave his life for the people. You know, he led many civil rights demonstrations. One of the most significant was the demonstration in Selma for voting rights. You know, that's a hugely significant event. You know, the passage of the Voting Rights Act, you know, he was key in making that possible, making that happen. So this is a continuation of his legacy. You know, as a result of that legacy of fighting for voting rights, we were able to elect more black elected officials to these higher offices. So this is a huge event. It's highly significant, and it's a continuation of the legacy of Reverend Martin Luther King. Another thing that has to be pointed out is just the significance of the black vote. The black vote was crucial. You know, there had been a strong drive to encourage black people to vote in Georgia. You had a lot of celebrities involved. You had all these civil rights organizations involved, and they have proven to be effective. They have proven themselves to be relevant. They have accomplished their task by turning out many black voters, and those black voters made a significant difference in this election. You have a lot of people who have moved to the South, and as a result of that, you have a demographic shift. You have a lot of black people that have moved to the South, and this has helped make the difference here. And, you know, it's all I can do is, you know, just thank God that a lot of our people are not listening to a lot of these talking heads that you have on YouTube that are trying to discourage African Americans from voting. You know, that are telling them to hold your vote and your vote doesn't matter and all this kind of stuff. But thankfully, the majority of the people are not listening to those people. The majority of the people came out and voted, and they voted for these Democrats to the U.S. Senate. And this is significant. This is not just about blindly following, you know, the Democratic Party. It's about making a calculated decision as to which party is in the best interest of black people. You have those Republicans. They are supporting Donald Trump, supporting a man that wanted to basically steal an election from the American people. This caught on tape talking about, you know, finding votes, you know, talking about, you know, trying to pressure an elected official in Georgia to, you know, change his mind and everything like that, to look for these votes, to buy into debunked conspiracy theories. And that, too, may have played a role in this election as well. You know, some Republicans may have been so turned off by that revelation about that tape and all that kind of stuff, these anti-democratic, dictatorial type of viewpoints from the president may have turned off a lot of Republicans. It may have resulted in some of them not even going to the polls, or those that do deciding to vote for Democrats. So this is a huge development. And, you know, again, this is a reminder of why voting is so important and so significant. You know, the fact that black people came out, it will make a difference, and it will make it possible for the Democrats to push forth their agenda in Congress. And, you know, so it's very important that people actually vote. You know, every vote matters, every vote counts, and this was a close election from what I understand. And one thing that's very significant at this point is that the Democrats have no excuses at this point. You know, they have no excuses for not pushing a black agenda. And so that's our job. What we need to do is push these Democrats to follow through on all these promises that they made. Push Joe Biden to follow through on these promises that he made about all these reforms, you know, about dealing with the wealth gap, about dealing with police brutality, about addressing voting rights. We have to push them extra hard. Our work is not over. It's not enough to just vote people in office. We have to follow up and make sure that they follow through with every single promise that they have made, and even push them harder on issues that are of importance to us, like reparations. That's what we have to do. So it's not just about electing somebody, it's about making sure that they are held accountable and that they follow through on the issues that are of importance to us as a voting bloc. Just as you have other groups that push their issues aggressively, whether we're talking about the pro-Israel lobby or we're talking about the LGBT community or the immigrant community, or the gun rights community, or the women's rights community, all of those communities, all of those interest groups aggressively push their agenda on all of the candidates, and that's what we have to do. And this is something that's obviously occurred before the elections, and this is something that needs to continue after the elections. We need to meet with these officials, through various civil rights groups and organizations. And one thing that has to be pointed out is that this proves how relevant, a lot of the traditional civil rights organizations still are. Despite all this talk you hear on social media, those groups were fundamental in bringing out the black vote. They were crucial in doing so. And their role is undeniable. Their role was vital. So those groups remain highly relevant when it comes to the situation involving black people and black voters in particular. So yeah, this is a huge development. It's significant, and I will continue to follow it. I will be talking about politics on here regularly, talking about what the Republicans and Democrats are doing, following up on monitoring the Biden administration to make sure that they follow through with all these promises that they have made. When they do right, I will praise them. When they do not fulfill their promises, I will be on here using my voice to speak out. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings. Please tell me what you think about this situation. What do you think about the importance of voting? What do you think about the outcome in Georgia? So with that, and there's one other point that I wanted to make. One thing that's very significant as well is just the fact that the Democrats poured so many resources into Georgia. A lot of money was raised. You had a lot of volunteers from around the country, not just with the Democratic Party, but with all these other groups. And that's what made the difference here. And I just think that if, the Democrats do more of this type of work, concentrating on key areas, they can make a difference. So with that, peace and blessings, everyone. Have a great day.